Jahmyr Gibbs went absolutely nuclear. 15 totes, 116, 2 tutties. Kyren Williams, 21 totes, 2 tutties, 76 yards. We're doing amazing things here.
Let him cook.
Wow. We had good and bad today. Like every week. JD5 got injured. Aiyuk got injured. Watson tore his Achilles. Not that he's in anybody's lineups, but boy, did we have a mixed bag of amazing good and bad today. We're going to break it all down. Deebo Samuel, sick, apparently, in the middle of the game, which was absolutely devastating. Brandon Aiyuk getting injured, looking like potentially the same Rashee Rice injury, or maybe a torn ACL, but maybe also a PCL, some sort of MCL injury, as well as very eerily similar to the Rashee Rice injury. So much to go over, but Kyren and Gibbs leading the way, absolutely exploding. Can we finish the trifecta with the Breece Hall 2-touchdown outing? The Fantasy Football Show Week 7 recap show begins right now. File on in.
Live from the FantasyFootballShow.com studios.
It's the Fantasy Football Show.
Live! Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern.
Smitty is also live whenever news breaks.
Drop the Jahmyr Gibbs emoji. Drop the Kyren Williams emoji. Drop whatever emoji. Drop the JD5 emoji for good wishes. But I don't think JD5 is going to be out long, if even just this game. The game was out of control. They already knew they could win this game. They didn't want to risk injuring JD5 further. But I don't think this is something that's going to keep JD5 out. So we can start off by just talking about JD5 and just say that don't freak out. Don't think he's not playing next week. He's ready. He's going to be ready to rumble. Kareem Hunt had a good day. We got a lot of players to talk about. We got a lot of players. Kareem Hunt had 2 touchdowns. Saquon Barkley exploded. Let's go one by one. Kyren Williams leading the way. If we're drafting right now for weeks 8 on, Kyren Williams probably and Barkley are the number 1, number 2 overall players. Jahmyr Gibbs is probably the number 3 overall player. If you're talking RB, I suppose you could throw in Jamar Chase. You could throw in a handful of wide receivers. But if I'm drafting over again, Kyren Williams is in my top 2 overall. This guy is a scoring machine, just like we predicted from the beginning. Now, we haven't been right on every front. I'm the first to admit that there are a lot of things going right and there are things going wrong. No one's going to be perfect, but I'm not going to let the negative Nancy's come in here and go, oh, Tank Dell still did bad. Smitty, are you going to sit here and crucify yourself in front of everybody so that we can all make sure that you pay for your Tank Dell predictions, which we've got a lot to say about that Tank Dell outing, that lack of Tank Dell outing, because honestly, this Stroud character is not cutting it right now. He's playing like garbage. 80-something yards. How is Tank supposed to do anything? But it is what it is, and we got to recognize that the Houston Texans situation doesn't feel like it's changing anytime soon, so we got to look at that situation differently going forward. We got Bigsby going nuts. God, we got a lot of players. A lot of players going crazy. We'll talk about whether they maintain that value. What do we think of Bigsby moving forward? Let's stay focused here. Kyren Williams, 21 totes, 76 yards, 2 touchdowns. Looks like a maniac out there. Once Cooper Kupp returns in this next contest, and he should very well be back in the next battle, this guy is going to have even more room to navigate. Think about what defenses are trying to do right now. They're stacking the box. They're hitting Kyren at the line of scrimmage, or actually before the line of scrimmage. He's getting bottled up and still finding ways to knife into the end zone. I mean, this 3.6 is not a great yard per carry average, but that is indicative of the situation. That is because of the situation. Kyren Williams goes back to a 4.4, 4.5, 4.7 yard per carry player probably immediately upon return of Cooper Kupp, and especially upon return of Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua at the same time. This is the number 1 or number 2 overall pick in fantasy football if drafting today.
Mashed potatoes! He's Kyren, he's 7 feet tall, and he knows how to handle a ball. He's Kyren, he can take frowns and turn them upside down with his touchdowns.
Looking phenomenal. And if anybody wants to know this next man, Jahmyr Gibbs, if I'm drafting over today, oh, but there's Monty. And Monty got hurt, and it looked like Monty was done for the year. He was needing help to the sideline, and it was his knee, and it looked like he was toast. I thought this looked worse than guys that are done for the year, and you know it off, like right off the rip. You're like, holy crap, this looked like Breece Hall when he tore his ACL bad. They were helping Monty off. Monty comes back like, I don't know, another series later and looks as if he didn't injure the knee, but Monty could be sore tomorrow, and there could definitely be some questionable, tags for the next couple of weeks because of this injury. He'll be a lot more sore. Players oftentimes say that playing in a game is like getting in a car accident. So any kind of injury you have, on top of that, you're going to feel so much more that next day. So we'll have to see what happens with Monty, but I don't care if Monty's in the game or not in the game, because Jahmyr Gibbs is a top 3, top 4 overall player to me going forward. This is why he was and continues to be, if anybody's able to buy him. I don't think the window's probably closed, but this is why he was my top buy low player for the entire week 7, week 6, week 5, week 4, as far back as we could go. Constant buy Jahmyr Gibbs, buy Jahmyr Gibbs, buy Jahmyr Gibbs, buy Jahmyr Gibbs. And congrats if any of you were able to do it, because you might have just won your league. Jahmyr Gibbs goes out and runs 15 times for 116 yards, 2 touchdowns, and one of which he was running at about 80% speed, just like he was playing in a video game or in an AI simulation. And he was looking at all the players, almost like moving them around as he's running full speed through knifing through the defense and through the gaps. And then a defender's coming, a teammate's blocking him. He slows up, lets both of them go into the end zone first, and goes into the end zone in a real nice jog, almost like a walk into the end zone. I've never seen somebody navigate lanes like this guy. He's letting defenders enter the end zone before him, using their momentum against him. He looked like he was using what is the martial arts defense martial arts. It's what's that movie? I forget what it is. Where you use someone's momentum against you, and that's all you do. It's just defense. It's all defense. Gibbs is out there playing defense with momentum, just letting people. You go ahead. I'm going to go in the end zone after you. Runs in, punches 2 touchdowns in. Unbelievable. So 160 yards, 2 touchdowns, whether Monty's in or out, and I almost prefer Monty in than out. And I know some people won't understand that. I know some people will sit here and go, well, Smitty, don't we want Monty to go down? Unless Monty goes down, Gibbs can't sustain or be this good. This is what you want him doing. You don't want him getting 25 carries a game. Now, would I take it? Yeah, for a short period of time. Let's say Monty did go down for the remainder of the year. Gibbs' value would go through the roof, okay? And I'd be excited about the prospect of him getting majority of all the work, but his injury risk would also go up by a significant amount. I don't know that he'd get hurt, but his injury risk would certainly go up. So it's a catch-22. Do you want Gibbs to continue to be as efficient as he is, getting 15 carries, 3 to 4 receptions? He had 4 receptions for 44 yards, 15 totes, and shared the workload with Montgomery in Montgomery's between the tackle role. That is 19 touches. We're plenty happy with that. So if anybody thinks, because Monty came back into the game and is still in the mix because you thought he got hurt, doesn't change anything. This is a top 3 to 4 overall player if drafting today. Gibbs is the guy. And I had this argument with people countless times last week, or Monty's the man. They're going to rotate to some degree. As I said it last week, when Monty had 2 touchdowns, those guys got the same opportunities. Monty's touchdowns, he was able to punch them in. Gibbs got corralled. They were the wrong play calls at the wrong time. And that's it. Monty was absolutely phenomenal last week. He was. And he'll have those games, if he's healthy, again in the future. Monty's good. Monty's a low-end running back 1, more so super high-end running back 2. Gibbs is a high-end running back 1. Don't confuse matters. Doesn't mean we're ripping on Monty at all, but this is the guy. This is a top 5 overall player going forward. Plain and simple. That's it. There's no arguing this situation. There's no trying to get cute and say, but it, no. You know why? Because I have data and science behind it. You don't. You're sitting here trying to argue that Gibbs isn't going to be because when I have algorithmic data and scientific equations that I could present that you can't. And if you want to see it, I'll show it to you. Here it is. But the continuum of the gigawatt component structure of Jahmyr Gibbs' workload divide has a megawatt offload that if you compartmentalize the component conjunction timekeeper and you flux capacitor out the continuum component megabolt, things just end up happening. And that's why Jahmyr Gibbs is a top 5 to 10 running back instead of top 6 to 10. This man, Jahmyr Gibbs, he looks better than Kamara looked coming out of college, more prepared to become Kamara. Smitty, did you just say Gibbs was more prepared to become Kamara than Alvin Kamara was prepared to become Kamara? And for those of you haters in here, and there's always haters, I'll put you both up right here. If you think I'm scared of running from your ridiculous comments, stop acting like you're always right. I'm not. And I literally said that 2 or 3 times already, saying we're going to get to some of the good and we're going to get some of the bad, but you don't listen. You don't have the ability to, and that's fine. You don't hear me. You just listen, but you don't hear. No one expects you to retain anything. There's no sponge here. You're not a sponge. You're not going to try and retain any goodness. You think you know everything. You should be doing this, not me. That's why you're commenting the way you're commenting. No, he won't mention Mixon because he rides Gibbs. This one is another hater. But little do you know, I talk about Mixon all the time. If you cared to stop and watch, you know that I say all the time, I didn't expect Mixon to do what he's doing. I've admitted that before, but you don't seem to want to hear that because all you want to do is hate. All you want to do is come in here and act like you know better than everybody else and you should be doing this instead of me or everyone else, but you're not doing it. And the thing is, the fact that I continue to come in here and tell you when I feel like I want to change directions and when I don't immediately, like on the AR5 situation. We backed off that immediately. Do you know how much AR5 buzz and hype I was throwing out there before week 1 kicked off? I had to dial it all back immediately. Just like I'll talk about where I stand on Tank Dell right now, where I stand on Patrick Mahomes, who I've got crying eye emojis in my graphic. You don't think I'm talking about it? You think I'm running from it? No, because you don't know what you're talking about. And it's sad, but it is what it is. And you're still welcome here because I would love for you to learn. I would love for you to absorb some things. Also, before that, go get me a coffee. As we discuss further the guys that have busted loose. Oh, here's a guy. His name's Bijan Robinson. He's a guy that absolutely crushed with 103 yards, 21 totes, and a touchdown. I remember this guy.
Let him cook.
We interrupt this program to bring you a special message from the Bruce's mother.
Get Bijan.
Your Bijan card has been revoked.
This guy absolutely soared today. Now, there's always going to be reasons. I got an accent all of a sudden. There's already, when I hit the Bijan button, I start talking in accents. I think that there's always going to be opportunity to sell high on every player that explodes, which is why we even discussed this last week. But there's only certain scenarios where you're selling versus riding the train upward, which this man is clearly riding. He's got 3 touchdowns in 2 games. 3 touchdowns in 2 games. He's got a phenomenal rip per carry right now. 3 catches for 40 yards. They're throwing to him. They're also not taking him out near goal line situations like they were earlier in the year. And some of that was explainable at least not last week, but the weeks prior. So not week 7, which is this week, and he stays in during critical goal line situations, scores a touchdown today, scores 2 touchdowns last week in critical goal line situations. He was injured the 2 games prior, which explain a lot. And so Bijan being better, being healthy, is very, very solid for his chances of being a top 12 overall player going forward, top 15 overall player going forward. There's some concerns with the offense, the way Kirk Cousins looked in this game versus other games, the way they moved the football, some of the play calling, some of the decisions they've made, but they always seem to come through. This team always seems to find a way to put stats on the board, to get Drake London his late touchdown, to get Bijan lately his scores and all that. I feel like no matter what, with Penix Jr. there to safeguard the QB situation, this is still one of the safer running back situations in football. And if you take away the middle part of the season, and we've only played 7 games, so if you take away these last 2 games where he's had 3 touchdowns in 2 games and looked absolutely phenomenal, you take away the first 2 games, that is where our problem was. Weeks 3, 4, 5, and 6. I'm sorry, weeks 3, 4, and 5. Because 6 and 7, he scored 3 touchdowns in those 2 games. Weeks 1 and 2, he was fed to the tune of any running back in the National Football League. Overfed to some degree. It was weeks 3, 4, and 5. The 3 games in between, sandwiched in between the amazing weeks 1 and 2 workload that just didn't yield the production we wanted, but the workload was there. Everybody and their mother came out saying, Bijan's getting Christian McCaffrey workload. He just didn't get the touchdowns. In weeks number 6 and 7, it all came together. Weeks 3, 4, and 5 were the only problematic weeks, but they were so painful, 1, 2, 3 weeks in a row, we started to feel a little anxious about the PTSD that lived inside us from the previous year. Is Arthur Smith still, the ghost of Arthur Smith, still hanging around and holding down Bijan? Bijan's not held down anymore. Bijan's ready to cook.
Let him cook.
Bijan is ready to cook, and he's doing wonderful things. Kenneth Walker continues to soar. 14. The thing is, the volume isn't even where we want it to be. They're continuing to use him. He's such a goal line threat. There might be no running back in the National Football League that has more capability and nose for the end zone and more capability around the end zone than this man, Kenneth Walker, from a receiving perspective, which I said from the beginning when he entered the league and everyone said he can't catch balls. They didn't throw to him in college, Smitty. Didn't matter. They didn't throw to Zeke Elliott in college either, but you can't sit there and go, oh, I wonder if he'll not catch balls in the NFL because he didn't catch footballs in college. He was too busy ripping off long runs and scoring touchdowns and being utilized on the ground. He didn't get thrown to. That was his offense, but he has the skill set to become the number 1 overall receiving back in the National Football League if he's fed. Now, he isn't always fed. Even right now, he's barely fed. And the amount of work he needs to be fed to become a top 5 overall running back constantly, consistently. But he's so efficient, he continues to produce. And Ryan Grubb loves him. Ryan Grubb's a 1 running back guy. He's proven that over the course of the weeks where Charbonnet was so good. Charbonnet was so good. Who's at the front door? Who's at the front door? Looks like we got an Amazon delivery. Ziggy off. Charbonnet was so effective, you would think that you would have this coaching staff, Ryan Grubb specifically, wanting to use both backs. He loves Kenneth Walker. What Charbonnet can do, Kenneth Walker can do better. Kenneth Walker, 14 totes, 69 yards, one of the most explosive runners in the league, and 1 touchdown. But wait, he pulls in 2 catches for 24 yards and a remarkable touchdown grab. Kenneth Walker scores 2 touchdowns. Kyren scores 2 touchdowns. Kenneth Walker scores 2 touchdowns. Jahmyr Gibbs scores 2 touchdowns. Moonman, Marsman, Satterman, all doing doubles.
Let him
Two
cook.
race. I said earlier, is it too much to ask that we get the trifecta? I guess we already got it. Walker, Marsman, Moonman extraordinaire. This was the first Moonman ever. This is why we created the Moonman list. We always said to the moon, to the channel, we never created the list. We created the list, the actual list to put up on the screen. The physical list from this man. He was number 1, numero uno on the Marsman list. Send this man
To the moon.
to the moon on the Moonman list before we even had the Marsman list. I think it goes a little something like this. He also was one of our very first video drops.
Kenneth Skywalker.
So Kenneth Walker to the mother freaking moon, and honestly, I would say this guy's in my top 6 RBs going forward. Maybe, I don't know. We run out of spots, right? I think I've got like 7 top 5 running backs at this point. We got the game starting really, really soon, so we're gonna put that. I want to make sure I have that ready to go here for when it launches. But we got a lot of news to get over. We got some super chats that are sitting there. I'm going to get to those in a second. Amon-Ra caught all 8 of his targets. That's impressive. 8 for 8, 112 yards and a touchdown. No JMO to be found. This is probably a harsh reminder that when JMO has a big game, we need to remember he's not leveling up in putting a little even Steven action on Amon-Ra St. Brown's value. We need to understand and recognize that this is a top 5 to 6, top 7 wide receiver. And it doesn't matter if there's some rotation going on. When JMO pops off, he could have a mediocre game. But this is the kind of guy that scores a touchdown at the very end of games, similar to London. The stats are always kind of there. And part of that is because of the offense and the way the offense matriculates the football down the field. How the offense is in games. They're always in close games. We'll talk about this with Patrick Mahomes and why the game script just is awful for Patrick Mahomes. And the honest truth is it might continue to be for a while. Even though Patrick Mahomes, from a football playing perspective, was still remarkable in many ways in this game despite the interceptions, there are some game script things that I don't know that they'll turn around. Partly because of all the injuries they've had. It is what it is, but we'll go over that in a second. A lot of people saying to cut Mahomes, drop Mahomes. Look, you can drop Mahomes if you want. This is a preference thing for you. If you can wait it out and put him on your bench because you got a better option, then do it. But I'm not cutting Patrick Mahomes. Would I bench him for a certain option? Absolutely. Until things turn around. But am I cutting him? No. If anybody cuts him, I'll scoop him up. I dare you to do something. If you actually own Patrick Mahomes and you're not just, chirping your mouth here, cut him. Let's see how quickly he gets picked up. But we'll go over that in a second. Amon-Ra, like London, lives in an offense where they're constantly in games at the end. They're constantly throwing even at the end. They're close games. They're games that change scores up until the end. They're not in games where it's low scoring. It's great defense like the KC Chiefs, and they don't need to do a lot. They need to run the ball and drain the clock, and that's the problem for Mahomes and the KC Chiefs. Is they're doing so well from an NFL perspective, doing what they're doing. They lost all of their weapons. Pacheco is out. Rice is out. Hollywood Brown's out. This is a devastating amount of injuries that make it a very different situation. St. Brown and Laporta is a good buy low, even though people are going to freak out on Laporta. This is an offense that's always going to be in a position to score points and continue to score points and be an absolute savior in the third and fourth quarter versus being a hindrance or watching the time tick away. And you're saying to yourself, good God, good God, how am I going to get anything in the third and fourth quarter from this guy week in and week out when his offense is structured in a way and the defense sets the team up in a way that there's no need for them to throw the ball anymore? It's not the case for Detroit. They're playing well. They beat the Vikings. It was a fantastic game, but it was a down to the wire finish, and that's what you want for your players. You want them in offenses that are constantly going at it, left and right. Boom, 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 boom. Never slowing down, always exchanging blows. Always constantly up and down, trying to get back in it. Shanahan said that they're worried Brandon Aiyuk has a tore ACL. It's not confirmed diagnosis yet, but it looks like that's what the fear is. I'll put this on screen here from Ian Rappaport, but it does look like Brandon Aiyuk probably tore his ACL. Keep in mind, we thought Rashee Rice tore his ACL too. The same kind of mechanism, and the delivery of the injury was very, very close and kind of similar. But usually there is a torn PCL or ACL in this type of tear. Hyperextension, whenever the knee hyperextends, as I've told you guys before in class here, your ACL and PCL in the middle of the knee. When you bend your knee, that ACL stays intact. It's still very taut. You could almost play a music off of it. And these ligaments, they stretch more. They tear. First grade tear, second grade tear, even third grade tear. You can tear these in a way that you just repair them with surgery, but they don't necessarily snap in half. You rarely ever snap your LCL or your MCL in half. It just doesn't really happen. You'd have to have the most dramatic skiing accident where the force behind, like a car accident or something to where there's no way for your body to absorb any of the bending or injury or anything like that. So in these types of injuries where a helmet hits or you hyperextend and your body's going to eventually stop bending and tearing, Nick Chubb's injury was one where you tear everything. Your knee's going like this. If it's going like this or even forward into the side, which is what Aiyuk's did. It went forward, hyperextended, went to the side. You can see the ACL and the PCL. I've already broke the ACL in this model doing this. That's how taut those ligaments are. But when you go this way, you can tear it. When you go this way, you can tear it. Helmet to the knee, you can tear it. Hyperextension, you can tear it. He had a hyperextension and it did tilt to the side according, or at least from my eyeball check. And so I do believe there's some, this is season ending no matter what. But if it is an ACL, it would be PCL. If it is an ACL and PCL or PCL and something, it would be MCL. Or LCL related, depending on the mechanism. But I do believe he's done for the year. ACL is probably the case. So horrible news for anybody that has Brandon Aiyuk. Deebo Samuel's stock goes up. And so does Ricky Pearsall's stock. We talked about this on the Friday night and Saturday night show when people asked me, do you think Pearsall's got any value? And the answer was, if an injury strikes Aiyuk or Deebo, Pearsall certainly has increased value. Well, that day has come. It came days after we talked about it, and now Ricky Pearsall's value goes up. Kittle's value goes up. Jordan Mason's value goes up for the next week, and then there's the bye week, and then there's maybe Christian McCaffrey coming back. Christian McCaffrey's value would go up if he can return to form. Deebo Samuel, even though he played horribly, and G-Men says it quite honestly, this is the way everybody feels, and I don't blame a single one of you. Deebo screwed everyone this week. He was sick. He had a little coldy poo, and he's blowing his nose on the sideline, and I get it, but Jordan was able to do it. I don't know what's going on with Deebo, and so we're all pissed off right now, but we're going to have to let bygones be bygones, and you got to understand, and Jennings too. Yeah, Jennings as well. Jennings goes up in value. But we got to let bygones be bygones here and say, okay, Deebo still has tremendous value going forward after he gets over, as D-Town put it, as he gets over his boo-boo. Once he gets over his boo-boo, blows his nose, and pulls his pants up, and washes his hands, and gets out there playing football again. Very disappointing for Deebo. He is going to 100% be an uptick in value. So as much as people are mad at him, you can take advantage of that. Deebo will certainly be on the buy low list for wide receivers walking into week number 8. Why? Well, he's also got a bye week coming up, so know that. That's going to piss off his owner as well. Bye week's coming up. You can even remind the owner of that. Hey, Deebo crapped the bed. He's also got a bye week in 1 week. What do you say you trade him to me for, and you make a trade and execute a trade? His value will go up. They're not going to be facing the KC Chiefs every week. His value will go up. Deebo Samuel. Amon-Ra St. Brown, what a monster. Josh Allen, monster. 323 and 2 touchdowns. Josh Allen is an absolute savage. Absolute savage. He's definitely the number 1 quarterback in fantasy. JD5 is right up there. Keon Coleman. Can we press the button? I even got two of them. Does Keon Coleman, I'll let the chat decide. Does he deserve to have his video drop played? 125 yards in this Bills Week 7 win over the Titans. Not only that, but Keon Coleman playing in what feels like his natural position now. Having Amari Cooper in-house seems to have done wonders for his ability to get open. And I do believe if you mix in the fact that this guy would have scored a touchdown, he scored a touchdown. His foot was like on the line, but I don't know that it was over. They showed the replay over and over. I totally disagree with the call. It was too close to call. It was too close to call. This guy was an absolute machine. 125 yards, would have had another 10 or 15 yards and the touchdown. What's the chat saying? They're dropping the emojis. Everybody wants the Keon Coleman video played. He deserves it. Maybe that's a sign it stopped playing. So, what's this mean? I don't know. I look, and some of you make good points, and we've talked about this before. Like, does the presence of Adams at an older age, not as threatening of as an Adams at 27 years old or something, does an older Adams, we'll find out here shortly, does an older Adams do the same thing for Garrett Wilson? A few of you said it in the live chat exactly like that, and we've talked about it before. It might. It could. It certainly could. I think we need to be open-minded to that, especially when you see this kid go out there and look remarkable. I think the pressure was too great having to be the It's almost like, you know, when you were in high school, if anybody remember this, if you were in sports, when you were like a junior or a sophomore and you were on the track team or the basketball team or whatever, especially a track team, like a big team with seniors mixed in, you felt like a peon. And you relied on the seniors. You were there at the track meet. You were looking around, and you felt comfortable that there were people bigger, stronger, better than you, above you. It wasn't all on you. The onus wasn't on you. You were a contributor. You got to be involved. If the team won, you're in individual events. You could win as well. But you had solace in the fact that, like, you weren't alone. You know, or like when you're a younger kid and your big brother's still up late at night, you go to bed at night, you know your big brother's there guarding the home. There's something to being thrusted into the top when you're not ready, you know, and this guy was shoved into the senior role while he wasn't really a senior, you know. This is like shoving a sophomore into the senior role, taking all the seniors off the track team, and now you're supposed to lead the entire team. The pressure was a little high in this situation. I think now that you've got Amari Cooper there to really keep defenses honest, this guy playing in his natural position is nice, and he gets to navigate that natural position in a way that allows him to be a trusted source for Josh Allen and not a here's the go ball, make it happen, didn't connect, now I need to go somewhere else next time. He gets constantly disappointed if he's got to throw these very tough catch balls in the direction of Keon Coleman, and that's all Keon Coleman gets to get. He gets none of the gravy work across the middle, none of the slot work. Keon Coleman was just sitting there, scooping up ball after ball, and if you include his touchdown grab, I don't know what we're looking at. You know, this is a very, very exciting fantasy football dynasty player going forward. Do I think it's going to be consistent? I don't know. It's tough to say, But I do know I love what I saw, and this is what we expected to see from Jump Street. Saquon Barkley says, I'm not that concerned about playing my old team. I'm going to call cap on that one. I'm going to say he cooked.
Let him cook.
Mars Man Extraordinaire. By the way, I'm on IR myself. I don't know if my hand's bent or if my fingers are I feel like this one's potentially, I don't want to say broken, but it's definitely messed up. We moved around a room in the house where the TV is, and I wasn't used to being in front of below the fan. I moved the TV on a wall. We got a fan right here. And during the games, kind of near the ending, I put my hand up. I was like, no! And I put my hand up. And you know when you hit the fan and it bounces off and you're like, ow, okay. This is a fan going, on high. I put my hand at least a foot above the fan. And it just hit about, I don't know, maybe like 10 times, to be honest, because it was up there about a foot. So what went up must come down. And my hand is just literally getting hit by the fan. And all four fingers, my thumb's okay. All four fingers just got hit up and down to get it, as it went up and then as it went down. The whole hand, I don't even know what part hurts worse. It's stinging all over. I feel like the bones I feel like you put it down and you just started smashing it with a hammer. I'm on IR. This is my button pushing hand. This is how I hit the video drops. This is my important hand. But that's okay. We're doing it on IR. It's feeling a little better. I'm getting some feeling back. I can kind of bend it without it stinging. But anyway, this guy goes out 17 carries. I just wanted to tell you that in case my fingers look bent. 17 carries for 176 yards and a touchdown. He said he wasn't going to let this game affect him. He wasn't emotionally tied to it. After the game, he said he was glad it was over. He absolutely exploded on his old team, looking like an absolute boss. The question is not, is he a top 3 overall player? The question is Kyren Williams 1 overall or is Barkley 1 overall? If you're drafting right now, who are you drafting 1 overall? Is it Barkley or is it Kyren or Ja'Marr Chase? That's the question. What a remarkable day. Bye week out of the way, monster. Kyren Williams, 2 touchdowns, keeps scoring double-digit touchdowns. He's always scoring a touchdown. 76 yards, number 1, number 2 overall player. Bye week out of the way, remarkable. Jaden Daniels, this is kind of where we get into some of the bad and good of the show. Some of the tough talk. Some of the realizations. Some of the, okay, do we turn away from this? Hey, I was wrong. Unlike some of the haters in the chat that think I don't ever take accountability for anything. You're going to hear it, and I say it whenever it happens. So these people just don't care about the show, and that's fine. They can come in and hate and say, oh, when are you going to say sorry for Tank Dell, Smitty? You were right on JD5. You were right on Kyren Williams. You're right on Jahmyr Gibbs. You're right on this and that. But when are you going to say sorry for Tank Dell? When are you going to come in, drag your body onto the live stream, smash your head against the table over and over, and punish yourself for Tank Dell? You're about to hear some things, okay? So hang tight. And not all of it will be what you expect, and some of it will be. Some of it might be more than you expect. Some of it might be, hey, this guy's still clinging on to this and that. But I'm going to explain some things. Jaden Daniels smiling, returning from his rib injury. Not concerned again. I said that at the top of the show. Jaden Daniels is a monster. Don't even hesitate to expect him to be in his next contest, ready to rumble. This game was a little getting out of hand when they were checking on him, so they just sat him out and said, you know what, we can win this game without you. Let's keep you safe. Let's just get you off the field. Aaron Jones, this is a good one. This is not even his stats. He had I have it somewhere here. I'll have to come to it, but he had a remarkable day. Nice breakaway touchdown run. Staying healthy is his only crutch, but if Aaron Jones can stay healthy, he'll continue to do well. This man, Jalen Hurts, is a machine. Even if the team struggles, even if people want to make fun of him in similar ways that they do either Mahomes or even like AR5 in a sense, like, oh, he doesn't know how to do this or that. Like, people oftentimes will say that this kid is a gadget quarterback. If he took away the brotherly shove, he's garbage. 114 yards, 1 touchdown, but he rushed for 2 touchdowns. That's his value. You want to start picking apart what he doesn't do right, what he does right. This is part of what you get with Jalen Hurts. And from an NFL perspective, it's still super effective. This Week 7 win over the Giants, 10 of 14, pretty efficient if you ask me. 10 of 14, it wasn't like he was a bad quarterback on Sunday. He was good. 28-3 a win. Didn't need to do a whole lot. They ran the ball a ton. They kept feeding Barkley. 114 yards, 3 touchdowns. I think that's pretty good for a day where you don't need to do much, but just feed this running back against his old former team. So Hurts came away with a very nice line, despite all the haters that continue to circle. People are circling around this kid too because of interceptions. 2 interceptions. He leads. He's up in the top 3 for INTs on the year, especially touchdown to INT compared ratios. This is a guy that's struggling at times, but look what he does. 220 yards, 3 touchdowns, 2 INTs, won the game. It was a tough, fought, hard battle against an offense that is led by Stroud, who's a problem right now. A problem that trickles down to other pieces. Jordan Love is still producing, even though he's in some sort of he makes mistakes type of rut, but then he comes out firing and he delivers and he wins games and he makes up for his mistakes. But even if he's making mistakes, 2, 3 INTs, has bad games, he's scoring 2 and 3 touchdowns and marching his team down the field. And he did this last year too when he struggled. He came back, he bounced back. He's great against adversity. This guy I'm starting to worry about. And I'm not saying you lose Nico, your biggest weapon. It's a problem. I get that. But he even struggled up until that point. He would find Nico, and that was it. He's been struggling in a great way. 10 completions. What is anybody to do? Now, here's where I'm going to say, you know what? It is what it is, and at some point, I got to say I'm taking a lap and recognizing that I don't know that Stroud's going to get it together. I don't think Tank's a problem. Tank had 2 touchdown targets in the first 5 minutes of the game. He had 2 touchdown targets, could have pulled in each of those passes, didn't though because they were badly placed. He did have his hands on one, but he was diving for it, and Tank should have had a touchdown. Tank could have had 2 touchdowns in this game. Now, I can't make mistakes. I can't be an apologist for Tank Dell over and over and over. I get it. But this guy's the problem. The question is, does it continue to happen? I would say yes, until he proves he can go out there and have 3 touchdown games again. How is Tank Dell supposed to do anything? And that's on me, because Tank can't do it. I need to recognize that that's not changing. But you can't sit there and continue to blame Tank Dell alone when this man's only completing 10 passes and he has 86 yards and no touchdowns. So do we put Tank on the bench? We kind of have to. And that's very hard for me to say. And despite it being Stroud and on Stroud, it's my fault for not recognizing that this was going to change or not change right now. Could it change later? Absolutely. Do you drop him? No, you don't. Do you put him on the bench? Depends on your options, but probably. But Stroud is an absolute debacle right now, and that's where the problem lies. That's the root of the problem. It's absolutely kind of maddening. And even when Nico was in, he was struggling. This guy right here, David Montgomery, we almost lost him for the season. And I wasn't rooting for this. I know a lot of people were like, Smitty, you wanted this to happen. You were excited. You didn't just admit it. You were excited. I wasn't excited. I think there's pros and cons to Monty being out of the game. I think what we just saw Gibbs do, 116 yards and 2 touchdowns, efficiency. Yeah, OEG, we have it right here. The ACL. It's likely an ACL for Aiyuk. David Montgomery looks like he's going to be okay, but I wouldn't be surprised if there's some remnants from this. I wouldn't be surprised if David Montgomery was questionable all week and we walk into this upcoming week with a lot of uncertainty because his injury was so bad. It looked so bad. It looked like he was done. His work looked worse than Aiyuk's. The way he's walking, the way he was dragging. So we'll see what's up with this, but don't think for a second that Gibbs had a shot to become top 3 and Monty returning to the game took that away. That's not the way it works. David Montgomery rushed 9 times for 31 yards. He also fumbled on a very key play. I don't think that necessarily has a great impact, but it certainly could going forward when they need a touchdown, they need a big play. You never know. I don't think they're going to write him off because of that by any means, but David Montgomery, as I said before, is a running back 2 at the high-end level. Not a disrespectful statement. Gibbs is a top 5 overall running back. Maybe a top 5 overall pick. So for everybody that doesn't know, Aiyuk is potentially looking at a torn ACL. This guy vanished, put him on a milk carton, caught 1 of 2 targets, -2 yards. This guy got you negative points. Not a good day for Devontae Smith. Do you write him off? No. Do you buy him low? Sure. Guys have bad games. Yeah, Gibbs to the moon.
To the moon.
Gibbs to the mother freaking moon. I think I got another.
Got him.
Gibbs to the mother freaking moon. Gibbs has such a good day. Joe Mixon, what a monster this guy is. If he's healthy, as I said last week, as I said the week before, if he's healthy, he's doing things that I never fully expected him to do. I've admitted this over and over. This is what's wild when people come in and go, "You right?" Like that one guy earlier, just talking totally out of pocket, doesn't even know what he's doing here. He doesn't even think. I don't think he's in the right room. Smitty won't admit Mixon's good because he's riding Gibbs. He's riding Gibbs, Smitty's riding Gibbs. Talk about Mixon all the time. If Mixon stays healthy, he continues to ball. This guy might need his own video. He might need his own video. He's perfect for this system. He is perfect for this system. I mean, he is an absolute glorious player right now. 115 yards, 25 totes. He's tough. He's gritty. He gets himself into the end zone. He's carrying the entire team on his back because Stroud's not doing its job. And he continues to thrive. And they know how to use him. And he's hungry. And he's got an attitude. He's got a chip on his shoulder. The kind of chip I wish that Bijan had a little bit. That I hope Bijan's developing. This is the kind of chip you need on your running back shoulder to say, feed me. And that gets angry if you take him out. And Mixon is continuing to thrive. And I don't think you could sell him or buy him low anymore. Buy him even medium rare. You couldn't. But he was a player. We had this, I don't know if you guys remember that caller that was like, who do I sell? I need 2 players. And I said sell, I think it was JJ or it was a receiver like that. And I said, go get a player with Joe Mixon. And he's like, you would sell so-and-so for Joe Mixon. And I said, yeah, you're buying a guy that's playing out of his mind. If he stays healthy, you could win the league. If you get even remotely close to the same kind of wide receiver, like you turn JJ or Jamar Chase into St. Brown and you get Mixon, you could win a league. Mixon's playing out of his mind. And you can't even say until he gets hurt or you just play him. You're allowing your season to ride on Mixon's back. And it is what it is. Doesn't work out. But it is worth the gamble because he's playing out of his mind. Tank Dell had 0 receptions, as we mentioned. How could he have anything? He's overthrown, misconnected on, but it is what it is. And it's time to accept that isn't changing. And may not. Hard to say. Justin Jefferson, 7 of 8, 81 yards and a touchdown. Looks remarkable as ever. What a magnificent player to have on your roster. Here's the Aaron Jones totes that I knew I put on the screen. 14 carries, 93 yards, and a touchdown. This guy continues to do it too. Him and Mixon, they found Derrick Henry's Fountain of Youth bottle, and they sprinkled a little bit on their necks. They went out and they balled out. They've both been banged up though because they're older players, and there's always that risk of Mixon, Aaron Jones, and Derrick Henry hitting an injury wall because they're older players that typically do not at this age continue to ball out, hence the injuries, hence the missed time. But there is a chance that they both, Aaron Jones and Mixon, don't miss another game or miss one game or whatever and play the remainder of the year and then fall off the face of the earth in 2025. And if you've got Aaron Jones, you're probably best to just continue to let it ride because he looked fast and quick and agile with the nose for the end zone in this game. This guy right here, Buy low. Are there risks involved? This is like we said from the beginning of the year. It's going to be like this with Nabers because he has no quarterback. He's going to have bad games because he's got to survive on the decisions of his quarterback. And if Danny Dimes gets replaced, which he did, what's the rapport going to look like? And it doesn't matter. You can't have a bad quarterback constantly hit the receiver and let the receiver do all the work, or they're going to get overworked and injured. Malik Nabers got laid out in a hospital ball situation and missed several games because of it. And that's also part of the risk factor, which has been said from the beginning. This is a volatile situation that he lives in. And you cannot rely upon a bad quarterback to consistently hit this guy. You give him 8 targets and he's got to catch all 8 of them? I don't think so. You're lucky if he gets half of his targets pulled in going forward, at least right now. It's a hard situation. It's a hard situation. I think, I buy low because his upside is huge. He's a top 10 wide receiver guaranteed in my book. But is he dancing around 5 right now? I don't know. Probably not. He could get there. He could dance in there once in a while. He could have cups of coffee in the top 4, 5, 6. But is he going to finish as a top 5 wide receiver as a rookie in this disaster, muddy situation over in New York? I don't know that it's possible. 4 of 8 targets. Expect him to catch half of his targets. Not his fault. But would I buy him low? Yes. Would I sell him high? Sure. I would do both. I would do either. Whichever one makes the most sense. Because every deal could be different from every single different vantage point. Deshaun Watson, I don't know if you guys remember me saying this, but I think I said the exact words that his career will probably end in an injury. I think Travis was on the phone line when I said it. I said that his career will end in an injury so it can be ambiguous. Like a way out, like the Cleveland Browns could say, what a disaster. We lost our quarterback to a devastating injury, and we'll never know how it would have ended. This is the best case scenario for the Browns to suggest that they don't have necessarily a say in what happened. This was out of their control, an injury, and now they get to move on. The coaching staff has wanted to replace Watson for weeks now, but they can't because the brass upstairs won't allow it because this man has a $230 million guaranteed contract that's about $47 million every year, and it's not even close to being over. They guarantee him $47 million every year, and they just have to, the brass says don't bench him. And I remember saying this, I believe Travis was on the phone, and I said, an injury is going to relieve the Browns from having to make the decision, and it's also going to plant a little seed of, and maybe it could have worked out, and now it's not all of our fault. But this was the worst trade in contract, especially together, we've ever seen in NFL history. And Deshaun Watson is one of the worst, if not the worst quarterback in the National Football League. And now his reign is probably completely over. DK Metcalf carted off the field, looks like an MCL. This is not a good sign. Probably multiple week miss situation for DK. Devastating. I'm surprised I didn't bring this up at the beginning. We'll have to find out if DK is going to, maybe there's a miracle here and he only misses a game or whatever. But this is a potential multiple game thing. Carted to the locker room. He tried to give it a go, couldn't. It could be a pain tolerance issue, like a grade 1 MCL, and that means he could take 1 week off just to make sure he's out of the woods and then come back. But DK Metcalf carted to the locker room. We'll have more on that. He did try and play. JSN to the moon. JSN to the moon.
To the moon.
Lock it, I suppose. Kenneth Walker to get utilized even more than ever. This game's kicking off right here. It already kicked off. This right here, this is Brandon Aiyuk before he got carted to the locker room when he was walking on what looks to be his torn ACL. You can definitely walk on a torn ACL for people that think you can't. Let me hit these super chats in order in which they were received. Overcome says Mahomes is a winner. Will continue to start. Now, he's not joking. Like, now you think he's being sarcastic. This is not a topic that a lot of people are going to agree on. Super chat, Smitty. I know, Star. I go over the super chats after the news. I'm doing it right now. This is not something that you're going to have anybody agree on. There's different levels of hate right now for Patrick Mahomes. Some of it is driven by fandom. Some of it is driven by, people that just want to be right on what they've said. And some of it's driven by people that have predicted him to bounce back and he hasn't. There's going to be people on all sides. I do truly believe I am most certainly one of the most objective people that you will find in the fantasy football space or that you'll ever meet. Mainly because, I play in so many leagues. I have so many predictions. I have so many things to talk about. And I have a track record of dialing back my prediction the moment I don't think it's going to go that way anymore. Last thing I want to do is be wrong over and over and over on something. Like the Tank Dell situation, there's explanation for it, but at some point I have to draw a conclusion that until it fixes itself, I have to step away. And it's because of Stroud, but it doesn't mean that I hate Tank Dell, but I have to recognize that Tank Dell's not going to get the football. When your quarterback only throws for 86 yards, Najee Harris won't go down. When your quarterback only throws for 86 yards and he misfires on every touchdown throw to Tank Dell, 2 of them this game, maybe 3. I didn't see the third one. I think there might have been a third one. Someone said 2 touchdown opportunities that Stroud miscued. Doesn't matter. At some point, I got to pull the plug and say, for right now, I'm not cutting him, but I am not going to start Tank Dell until Stroud turns it around. How can I? Stroud at 86 yards. How can your receiver do anything when Stroud has 86 yards? The same thing with Mahomes. Is there a world where this guy continues, Patrick Mahomes, to live in a safe place where the defense is keeping the game close and Reed wants to drain the clock? And so you have less opportunities. What it is this. You want to know what it is? This is what it is. Patrick Mahomes has less opportunities than the average quarterback because of ball control, because of the defense, and because they want to run the ball a lot and drain that clock. And so when Patrick Mahomes has one drive or two where you're maybe going to get a shot at a touchdown per half, you're screwed if he misfires on anything. Tip pass, interception. Last week, tip pass, interception. Patrick Mahomes was a miracle worker at times during today's game and his last contest. And you can fight that tooth and nail if you want, or you can at least admit Patrick Mahomes is one of the best quarterbacks we've ever seen play the position. And his remarkable ability to escape and be a magician on the field and drive his team to a 6-0 record. To drive his team to a 7-0 record. Sorry. This is a team that is poised to try and win a 3rd straight Super Bowl. And is Mahomes worth giving up on? Maybe. In fantasy for right now. That doesn't mean you cut him. Doesn't mean you have to bench him. Doesn't mean you have the luxury of benching him. Overcome says Mahomes is a winner. Will continue to start him. I've got 2 leagues. I'm going to start him in. I'm not going to sit Patrick Mahomes in those 2 leagues for what? Now, in leagues where I've got a better option than Patrick Mahomes, one playing better, of course I'm going to start that player over Patrick Mahomes till I see something turn around. But it depends on your case-by-case situation. And I fully support either decision. If you say, Smitty, I'm going to roll with Baker Mayfield. I've got him. I've got Caleb, Smitty. I'm rolling with Caleb until Mahomes bounces back. I'm fine with that. But if you cut Patrick Mahomes, you're emotional. If you bench him, I understand it. If you cut him, you're being emotional. And you're also letting the continuous negativity make you think that this guy isn't capable of bouncing back. The problem is, again, the game script is so tough because they run the ball and they drain the clock and their defense is so good. It may not repair. Also, it has nothing to do with him being like somebody keeps saying, or a couple of you said, he's good in real life but not in fantasy. That is a ridiculous statement. He has lost all of his weapons. He's got no Rashee Rice. He's got no Hollywood Brown. That's like taking Deebo and Aiyuk off of the Niners roster. That's like taking A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith off the Eagles roster, where Jalen Hurts struggled. And you also take off his number 1 running back. He's lost a lot. Now, the question is, does he rebound from that? Or does he just stay in turmoil all year, exit 2024, enter 2025 with his weapons revitalized, and a new fantasy football value. That is certainly why you can bench him now, and it's understandable. But to suggest he can't bounce back, this guy is capable of it. Also, the onus is also on Andy Reid and Nagy and the play calling involved, because that is also going to change things. Reid has been known to flip a switch and start airing the ball out. It's tough to know, but it's understandable to bench him. Team is Lamb, Nico, Hill, Moore, JT, Mixon, Cook, Mason, Bigsby, Worthy, McBride. Trade Hill and Cook, Worthy for Kyren, MHJ, or Hill, Cook, Worthy for Kamara, Cup. Denny, I don't have time for phone calls right now. I wanted to answer real quick for you. You got 10 seconds, 15 seconds, and I got to get to these super chats.
All right, Smitty.
All right, go. 10 seconds.
Dude died hang gliding. What a loser. Hey, Henry, I'm flying. Hey, look at me, I'm dead. What a loser.
Thank you, Denny. Appreciate you. Denny, he cut himself off. Lamb, okay, so trade Hill, Cook, and Worthy for Kyren, MHJ, or Hill, Cook, Worthy for Kamara, Cup. I'd probably take Kyren and MHJ. Fizzle. That's a good trade. Where is the Bijan hate? Where are the Bijan haters now, Smitty? We are winning, says KJV. Nice job, bro. Way to keep the faith. Way to not sell early or anything like that on the low. Selling high was fine. Selling medium high, understandable. Selling Bijan low.
Your Bijan card has been revoked.
Absolutely not. Did Watson break out like that viewer predicted? Did Watson break? Deshaun Watson. He definitely broke, but he didn't break out. Yes, I remember the guy that said Watson's breakout game. Mark it down. What should I do with Reed? Friars? I don't know who that is, bro. Is that Fryermuth? Reed, Dobbs, 10 targets. Reed, 3. Reed's still a top 10 potential wide receiver. If that's what you're asking, you don't do anything with it. You just keep starting him. You can't freak out about it. Breece Hall's in the backfield. Devontae Adams there. Let's see how this goes. Very excited for this drive. Traded CMC and Algier for Kyren first in Dynasty. Great job. Kyren in Dynasty is such a great buy low. It was such a good buy low. Super flex, wide receiver Jennings, waiver wire pickup. Maybe. Depends on your situation, though. But Jennings will certainly be atop the waiver wire pickups for this week. Devontae Adams. First play I don't want to say overthrew him, but like threw it to the side. Not a catchable ball for Deion. Actually, he could have caught that. That was Devontae Adams. He should have caught that. Trade Garrett Wilson for Tyreek Hill. I truly believe Tyreek Hill will explode with Tua back. And he's still a buy low opportunity. Traded Laporta Hall. Skyward says. Let's see if this is related to this question that he asked here. Aaron Rodgers in the gun, Breece Hall in the backfield. Hand off to Breece. Rips about 4 off there. Traded for Laporta and Hall for Aiyuk, Dell, JSN 2 weeks ago. And I think you're saying you traded Laporta Hall. I hope you didn't trade Laporta. Traded for Laporta and Hall. Okay. Laporta Hall for Aiyuk and Dell. Nice job. Nice job. Some players up for my season. Yeah, bro. Nice job, Skyward. We'll work on your Aiyuk replacement here. And we'll hit the waiver wire. Aaron Rodgers taken down 3 and out. That sucks. What a horrible first drive for Devontae Adams and the new look Jets. Just joining in, we talk about DJ or Reed yet. No, not really. Look, Reed's still a buy. He's still a buy. I think people are freaking out about a couple players like Deebo and Reed, etc. Sorry, I meant the crier. Dobbs. I have Reed, Dobbs, and 10 targets each to Reed's 3. Tyler, you still don't make sense. Let me restate it. What should I do with Reed? Now with the Crier Doors being the wide receiver 1. What are we talking about? Does anybody know what he's talking about? The Crier Doors? What's he saying? Did I make a joke about that or something? Is that what he's... Wide receiver 1, 10 targets to get Reed. 3, I have Reed. My league doesn't trade. I still don't know what you're trying to say. You asking for help? Did we need to send an ambulance? Does anybody know where Tyler is? Can we maybe send somebody over there to check on him, knock on the door? Dobbs is the crier. Is that what he's saying? He's asking what should he do with Reed. He's a panic Peter. Nothing with Reed. Don't worry about Reed. Reed's a top at least 12 wide receiver, my guy. Full PPR. Trade K9 Nico for K9 7. Who's K9 7? Trade K9 7 Nico for Jacobson Hill. I'd rather have K9 and Nico by a country mile. Love the team. Wait on Nico, bro. Kenneth Walker is the man. Even the K9 7 isn't as good as K9 3, but Deebo and Chase Brown dropped. Duds for me. But I had Hurts, Gibbs, Kyren, BT, and Joku, and I'm up 140 to 90. Play me my Kyren video, says Jaime. Jaime says Deebo and Chase Brown drop me duds. Okay, I just want to make sure you weren't dropping them. Okay. Yeah, Kyren to the moon.
He's Kyren, he's 7 feet tall, and he knows how to handle a ball. He's Kyren, he can take frowns and turn them upside down with his touchdowns.
Jaime, appreciate you. And we got Esteban here with the Hall PPR up 110 to 57. Opponent had Lamar, Godwin, and Tucker left. What percentage chance would you give you to win? So you're up 110, 57. Half PPR. Where did I thought I saw Hall. I thought I saw Brees Hall somewhere. I guess I didn't. I'm seeing things. Half PPR up 110 to 57. I think I thought half was Hall. Up 110 to 57. Opponent has Lamar, Godwin, and Tucker. I'd probably say I'd rather be you, but certainly could go either direction, bro. But live in the moment, bro. Live in the excitement of that you're in this, monster battle, down to the finish. And the last super chat, and then I'll go to the phone lines. Hang tight for me. Trade Kamara for Kupp. I'd rather have Kupp. I think because of your running back room too. And McLaurin, I like McLaurin. London, I like London. MHJ, I like MHJ. Kelsey still could do well. You're going to be far better off, especially old man Kamara. You're getting bye-week free Cooper Kupp that should be back next week. But there's some risk involved. What if there's a setback we don't know about, and that's why I didn't play? I don't think that's the case, but you got to at least understand that risk level is there. Denny, you're live, and then I got to get out of here because we'll be back for the waiver wire show.
Can I just sit back?
No, I'm leaving, and then I'm going to come back for the waiver wire show after the game. So I'm hitting the end button. So you got 10 seconds, and then I'm going to hit live stream end.
People are talking about people. You know what? We dance just a little too proud. Oh, just a little too good. 10 seconds. 5, 4, 3.
Hey, Denny.
What?
Closing time. Closing.
Denny, get off the phone. Finish your whiskey and beer. Closing time. Smitty don't want to hear it. Smitty's kind of nice of that.
All right. Hey, Denny, I got to run. I appreciate you, bro. We'll see you later, pal.
All right.
Call him tonight after the game. All right. I'm out of here. Appreciate all of you. Good luck with the rest of your matchups and everything going on. Brees Hall to the moon. Let's hope Justin Fields gets in there soon. Russell Wilson. Okay, let's see here. Austin dropped that football. That was on Austin. I want to blame Russell Wilson there, but We'll see how long Russell Wilson lasts. Does anybody think Russell Wilson will get replaced by halftime? We'll have to see. Another 3 and out. Or I don't even know if they had a first down on that one, actually. But I think that was 3 and out. Pittsburgh Steelers punting this ball away. New York Jets. Fair catching this bad boy about the... Oh, it's a fumble! Out of bounds! Woo! Doggy! I kind of felt he was going to drop that, too. I just felt it. Unreal. Yeah, Russ is absolute garbage. Anybody thinks Russell Wilson should be in there, no offense. You can put your earmuffs on, but I think you're blinded by something. I don't think you're seeing straight. Russell Wilson's cheeks, bro. Fields gave them the opportunity to be in the position they're in. 4 wins. Fields is not perfect. They're trying to fix him. He's not a perfect man. He's still repairing his abilities. He's broken from Chicago and how they mistreated him and didn't develop him. And honestly, Tomlin's not developing him right either because he doesn't install confidence. And, hey, you're our starter. Hey, you've earned the job. You just keep holding Russ's keys to his vehicle, and they want you to drive Russell Wilson's vehicle. They haven't custom-made your vehicle or your offense to fit you. All right, I'll be back. Appreciate you all. Waiver Wire Show once this game ends. Come into the live stream. There's about 400 of you left. Hit the thumb up button on the way out the door. Subscribe if you're new. But just know that we'll be here about 2 to 5 minutes before the game actually ends. And so just kind of swing on in and be inside the live chat as I'm about ready to hit the go button. That's where we all kind of congregate. The video's not playing yet. The live stream isn't live yet, but the placeholder, the chat room is up for the live video. It'll be here. It'll be waiting for you. We can talk about what's going on at the tail end of the game. And as soon as the game ends, I hit the go button and the live chat just goes straight into the live stream. So I'll see you guys Waiver Wire Show once the game ends. Appreciate you all. Live Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern, live after every single game. See you then. See you tonight.